Okay. So I hope na-motivate kayo, no? Alam nyo, doon sa pinag-uusapan regarding the extrinsic and intrinsic, iniisip ko kung anong pinakamagandang word yan eh. Parang sumikat yan eh. Kilala
Afternoon to everyone. How are you today? Thumbs up means to say you are good. Okay, now I know every one of you today is already motivated. And I know that being a master guide, you know everything about motivation. But today we're going to review about motivating volunteers. Are you volunteers and are you motivated already? Now we're going to discuss the topic about motivating volunteers. This is the topic that was given to me by our master guide Renilo, uh, and I know that this is very significant for us to know that there are so different types of motivation. Okay, and now we need to know first the meaning of motivation. Okay, what is motivating? For the motivating, the meaning, according to Merriam-Webster, it is the meaning an act or process of giving someone a reason for doing something. And the act of process of motivating someone, the condition of being eager to act or work. And lastly, the condition of being motivated. The first meaning is a process of giving someone a reason for doing something. It has something to do with the personal or the, shall I call it, pangsarili. Okay? It is personal. If you want to be motivated, it's your choice. And the other one is process of motivating someone else. It has something to do with other people. And the condition of being eager to act or work, it is your what do you call this, the outcome of how are you being motivated. And the condition of being motivated, it is the process of your motivation. And now what is the volunteers? What is the meaning of volunteers? Volunteers is a person who voluntarily undertakes or expresses a willingness to undertake a service, such as, for example, one who enters into military service voluntarily. And next example is one who renders a service or takes part in the transaction while having no legal concern or interest. So these are types of volunteers. Okay, now we're going to use it in a sentence. This is the first sentence that I have made. Master Guide Ronilo Marasigan and other master guides motivated me to finish all my requirements and be invested as PLA. And the second is, who motivates you to join the training program for Pathfinder Leadership Award? That is a question, personal question for every one of you today. And what is motivation? Okay, motivation is defined as the feeling based on which a person act or behave regarding a particular task or activity. Motivation is a human psychology factor which drives or pushes a person to behave in a particular way. When the motivation is positive, a person is happy, energetic, enthusiastic, and self-driven. When the motivation is negative, a person is demoralized, sad, lethargic, and pessimistic. These are the theories of motivation. Motivation is connected to these things. In particular, motivation is related in incentive. Motivation is related in development. Motivation is related in power. Motivation is related in opportunity. Motivation is related in support. Motivation is related in goal. Motivation is related in challenge. Do you agree with me? These things are related to motivation. Importance of motivation. Why is it important for us to be motivated? It is an important psychological factor for an individual as it defines the work, ambition, and drive of that person to do any work. A person with high levels of motivation is motivated to do good quality work, help others, spread their energy, and focus on achieving goals. On the contrary, a person with low levels of motivation demotivates others, works shabbily, and creates a negative atmosphere. It is an important human factor in an individual's personal as well as professional life. The positive motivation for people is required in every field like business, sports, politics, entrepreneurship, etc. It is the desire of an individual to work towards a motive, which is a certain task. In business, good motivation helps employees learn important managerial skills like leadership, team management, decision making, communication, and others. Motivation is defined as a feeling based on which a person acts or behave regarding a particular task or activity. The motivation is human psychology factor which drives us pushes a person to behave in a particular way. When a person is motivated, it can be a positive or negative. When it's a positive, a person is happy, energetic, enthusiastic, and self-driven. When it's negative, a person is demoralized, sad, lethargic, and pessimistic. Okay, these are the theories of motivation. As what I have said a while ago, what is motivation? Where is motivation connected? Can I ask someone to read it?
So in theories of motivation, we have challenge, incentive, development, goal, support, determination, opportunity, and power.
Okay. So why is it connected to motivation? The incentive, the development, the power, the opportunity, the determination, the support, and the goal. As we go along our topic this morning, we will see why is it important. The importance of motivation. It is important psychological factor for an individual as it defines the work, ambition, and drive of a person to do any work. A person with high levels of motivation is motivated to go to do good quality work, help others, spread their energy, and focus on achieving goals. On the contrary, a person with low levels of motivation demotivates others, works shabbily, and creates a negative atmosphere. It is an important human factor in an individual's personal as well as professional life. The positive motivation for people is required in every field like business, sports, politics, entrepreneurship, etc. It is the desire of an individual to work towards a motive, which is a certain task. In business, good motivation helps employees learn important managerial skills like leadership, team management, decision making, communication, and others. So it's really important for us to know about the motivation because it is a details, okay? It's a detail like leadership, team management. All of these are important on motivation, the decision making and communication. Okay, we have here 4 topics of motivation. These are the extrinsic, which is external source and has action. The identified with external source and non-action. The intrinsic, which is the internal source and with action. And the last one is the introjected, which is the internal source and non-action. What are these things? The extrinsic, identified, intrinsic, and introjected. The first one is the intrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation is an external influence that impels people to act in a certain ways. External influence may include rewards, promotions, prizes, and others. The problem with extrinsic motivation is that it is prone to expectation. If the reward of doing something is consistently applied, people tend to see it as part of the effort, not as a reward. So it's really hard to have the external motivation, right? Because they will expect a lot every time. Kumbaga, masasanay sila na lagi merong ganong prizes, rewards. There's also a problem in extrinsic motivation, lacking meaningfulness. This is the problem in the extrinsic motivation. The effect of motivating someone with rewards does not work always or even consistently over time. If it did, offering bonuses for doing specific jobs would always garner individuals for those jobs and make them perform the job properly. Yet, human resources struggle to fill jobs with the most productive creativity people. Have you experienced this motivation? The extrinsic motivation, of course. I believe all of us experience this one, especially on our work, right? They always give us promotion, rewards, prizes, and everything so that we will enjoy the what? Our stay on this work. Okay? The next one, to continue, the extrinsic external, it has external source or action. It means to say the rewarding or the driven behavior is on action. The extrinsic motivation, rewards, and others incentives like praise, fame, money are used to motivation for specific activities. So the extrinsic motivation examples. These are the examples. Okay, can you please read it? The example of the extrinsic motivation, please. Okay, Ma'am
Extrinsic
Josie.
motivation examples: going to work because you want to earn money. Next, studying because you want to get a good grade. Next, helping others because you hope for praise. Volunteering because it looks good on a resume. Going to
Yes.
the same store because you benefit it from loyalty program.
Okay, those are extrinsic motivation. So we can see it clearly, right? How about the intrinsic motivation? The intrinsic motivation refers to an internal motivation. This form of motivation is subjective and is believed to occur as a result of action aligning with values or with pleasure for doing a task. This form of motivation is subjective but can be accessed in a variety of ways, which as providing rewards that reflect values such as employee of the month or giving out of coffee mug printed with best salesman. The key of understanding this internalized motivation is the relationship to a person's value or desires. People tend to place higher value on the boss saying things like, good job, than being given a bonus at the end of the year. However, intrinsic motivation is subjective and can be difficult to balance and utilize depending on the workforce and what appraises the staff. So this motivation has also difficult to balance, like what the definition said. Okay, the next, okay, to continue, the intrinsic internal source or with action. The intrinsic motivation, just like what I have read, refers to behavior and is driven by internal rewards. In other words, the motivation to engage in the behavior arises from the within. From within, the the individual because it is naturally satisfying to you, right? Because it's on the inner, right? We are subjective this time, so we are satisfied. We are when we are motivated intrinsically. Intrinsic rewards include things like sense of pride, personal fulfillment from completion of the activity, gaining a new skills, and feeling like an important part of the team. So these are the extrinsic motivation. Like me, I am when I am invested, I think I feel this intrinsic motivation when I invested as a master guide because it's been a long time that I am aiming so much to be a master guide. And when I reach the being a master guide, I feel inner satisfaction. It feels good because it's sense of pride, right? Personal fulfillment, right? And now, what is it? Next, the three types of forces of intrinsic motivation. There are three types of forces. The first one is fear of punishment or the excitement of a reward. It can be fear or it can have excitement. I think for me, the fear is, how about the expectation of other master guide? Can I be a good example to them? That's the fear, my fear, right? My fear to be being a master guide. And the excitement is that I can be one of them and I can participate on the program of the master guide. That's the excitement for me. Then the second is the positive and the negative. Of course, sometimes we have experienced positive, right? And sometimes we experience the negative motivation. The third one is new to us. The carrot and the stick. It has something to do with rewards and punishment. The stick is for punishment and the carrot is for reward. We tend to think that we are neither motivated. Sometimes naisip po natin, we think that we are already motivated, but in reality, we are not yet. We are still on the process of the motivation, right? Because we are not yet perfect. So we need to be motivated in all our flaws, kung ano ba yung mga weaknesses natin, then we need to be guided also. So ways to cultivate intrinsic motivation in students. Actually, we are all students here. Do you agree with me? We are still studying a lot of things for us to be mature. Mature in what way? Being disciplined as a master guide and also to apply what we learn in master guide. So I have here 7 items to cultivate intrinsic motivation in students or in master guides. I will change the students in master guide. Okay, the first one is rethink reward. The second is Altasian autonomy, meaning mastery and purpose, freedom to work on whatever they like, the change to develop something that they're experts in and truly care about. So Altasian autonomy. Make mastery cool. Di ba cool pagka na-master mo ng isang bagay when you are already you mastered what is necessary in master guide, then you will know it very well. Kahit sino magtanong sa'yo, you can answer them directly. And next is a higher purpose. So we have a purpose here in Master God. We have a higher purpose. So we need to be motivated. Make students feel like education is a choice, not a requirement. I will repeat. Make Master Guide feel like education is a choice, not a requirement. I believe every one of you is here because it's your choice. And you are not required to come today, right? It's your choice to join the program. So you are being motivated by yourself, by the inner motivation. Okay? Don't use fear of punishment as a motivation. It's really hard kung merong punishment lang, saka ka lang magiging motivated, right? When someone told you, oh, I will not give you this one, parang hindi kita i-invest if you will not do the requirements. Pananakot, di po ba? Tatakutin ka lang, kaya tatapusin mo ngayon ang ating mga requirements. So do you like the motivation that I have said? Of course, meron tayong choices. For learning management, expert self-direction, not compliance. For learning management, expect self-direction, not compliance. Okay, the next one is the third one is the identified motivation. What is this? Okay, the identified motivation is a form of motivation which occurs as understanding or feeling the need to perform or accomplish some task but not yet acting on this need. Okay, this is powerful form of motivation as it is intrinsic to the person and prepares the person for acting. Often people believe the influences of behavior such as reward or punishment is enough to motivate action, but more often motivation is a building process. So for example, if lung cancer risk could motivate a person to quit smoking, many people would easily quit smoking. The need and desire to quit smoking often takes time to actualize. However, this presents the program of the person dying with lung cancer before becoming motivated enough to quit smoking. As we see, di ba, right, our times today, our young people today is not easy to be motivated. Hindi sila madaling ma-motivate natin, especially to join the master guide. But if they experience difficulties, then they can relate to the program. They can easily join the program. Kagaya nung may lung cancer, bago niya maintindihan na it's important to take care of his health, may lung cancer na siya. So, they are learning in a hard way, right? This form of motivation is powerful because its actualization often creates lasting accomplishment or performance enhancing, but it is often impractical to wait for someone to become motivated. The third is identified external source with non-action. It is identified motivation refers to a form of motivation which occurs as understanding or feeling the need to perform and accomplish some task, but not yet acting on the need. This is powerful for the motivation as it is intrinsic to the person and prepares the person for acting. So it has something to do with the preparation, okay? Hindi siya nabibigla. For example, would be a student who studies very hard for a SAT exam because getting into college is important to him. So there are preparation, okay? Mind preparation maybe or financially. So there are preparation on this motivation. And the lastly is the introjected motivation. The introjected motivation is an internalized motivation like intrinsic motivation. But it is a negative form of motivation which results from non-action such as the job being done poorly or not at all and the person feeling guilty. This form of motivation is similar to negative reinforcement, but the stimulus for the person's motivation is internal rather than external. So it has something to do with subjective also, the introjected motivation. This form of motivation is more common than people might believe and takes many forms such as bosses making comments about the poor job someone performed. These statements are often intended to induce feelings of guilt within people to motivate them to perform better. This form of motivation has many negative aspects as it can anger or confuse people when the person feels constant negative interaction or by not being able to satisfy themselves or a person causing them to feel negatively. This form of motivation provide different perspective, but more importantly, they provide different ways to access motivation for personal improvement or workplace applications. So these are more on the negative. For example, meron tayo mga worker, sasabihin agad natin, bakit, why is it like this? It's not done properly. So, pinapagalitan natin yung mga worker natin. Okay? We are always focusing on the what? The negative things that they done. Okay, so it's about the introjected motivation. Here are the social psychology motivation and organization, according to Peter Atkins, October 14, 2016. So the extrinsic, the intrinsic has action, while the identified and the introjected has non-action. And the extrinsic and the identified is about the external factors. And the intrinsic and the introjected is about the internal action, okay? So when you are internally motivated, what do you feel? And how about the external? Which of these two is your experience on your workplace? And now, motivation in people are intrinsic, or to summary this topic, the intrinsic, the extrinsic, the positive identified, the negative introjected. Okay, let us ask someone to read this for motivation in people. For master guides.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just read if you are willing to participate.
Motivation in people are, number one, intrinsic. This type comes from within a person to do a task or achieve a particular goal. It is a feeling of being self-driven and achieving objectives for oneself. Intrinsic motivation is driven by motives like social acceptance, eating food, desires to achieve goals, biological needs, and etc. Number two,
Next.
extrinsic. These types driven an individual due to external forces or parameters. Some other person or organization motivates the individual to work hard to achieve certain goals or tasks. Extrinsic motivation is driven by motives like financial bonus, rewards, appreciation, promotion, punishment, or demotion, etc. Positive identified. This type drives an individual by offering positive accolades and rewards for performing a task. In this type of motivation, the individual is rewarded by monetary benefits, promotion, and etc., which drives an individual to work hard. Number four, negative interjected is where fear and threat are used as a parameter to get the work done. In this type of motivation, individuals are threatened with things like demotion, reducing benefits, withdrawing merits, etc.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you so
ma'am.
much, sir. Okay, now we know the 4 types of motivation. So for every individual, all the types are interlinked based on which he or she takes an action. The resultant behavior of any person is basis the motivational types he or she has been influenced by. So ano po ba nakaka-influence sa inyo, mga master guides? Okay, now we know which of these four can motivate you? Kung para kayo ay maging to pursue your goal to be a PLA. And now different types of motivation in people are, like what I have said, intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, negative, and the positive. So the positive has desire and reward. The negative has fear and threat. While the intrinsic is the desire and fear, while the extrinsic is the reward and the threat. This is to summary those four. Okay, now why do we do such thing? Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, why we do what we do. Okay, in intrinsic, we can see here the things that we are doing, and the extrinsic on the other side. Can we ask someone to read it?
Intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Why we do what we do. Because of the interest and enjoyment in the task itself. One, enjoyment, purpose, growth, curiosity, passion, self-expression, fun. Intrinsic.
That's the extrinsic.
So sa extrinsic, sabi po rito ay because of the outcome that will result by doing the task. One, promotions, pay raises, bonuses, benefits, prizes, winning, perks.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, why we do what we do? Because of this, right? Because of the things that we have heard in the intrinsic and the extrinsic. So do you agree with me that you are experiencing this too? I believe so. Okay, lahat tayo na-experience natin to. Okay, because we need to balance ourselves. We need to experience the intrinsic, the inner, and the outer, right? The extrinsic motivation. Now, in motivation factors, all of these things are connected. Okay, in motivation factors, we have here the salary, the recognition, the work ethics, the transparency, the culture, the learning, work-life balance, career growth, the health, and the communication. So all of this is part of motivation, okay? Why are we need to be motivated? Do you think why? Because according to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we have here on the lower part, it is the bigger, okay? We need to experience all of this first before we go up. Okay, the basic needs, we call it the basic needs. And the next level is the psychological needs. And the last is the self-fulfillment needs. It means to say, if you are not satisfied with the basic needs or the psychological needs, you cannot experience self-fulfillment. Right? Do you agree with me? If you are lacking with your physical needs, safety needs, belongingness and love needs, esteem needs, then you will not be self-fulfilled. You don't experience self-fulfillment. Am I right? Or Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs is right? Of course. That's why it is written, because they have a lot of study about this. We need to have a good or basic needs should be fulfilled first, then psychological needs, and then we are being fulfilled on our self needs, okay? Self-fulfillment needs. And now, okay, next is advantages of motivation. What are the advantages of motivation? Can I ask someone to read it, please?
Yes, ma'am. Advantages
Okay.
of motivation. Number one, feelings of belongingness and self-respect. Number two, a motivated employee excited to learn and contribute more. 3, higher productive output due to positive motivation. 4. Reduce absenteeism and lower attrition. 5. Employees high on motivation help reduce costs and improve profits. 6. Reduce stress and anxiety at workplace.
So those are the advantages of motivation. Do you want to feel this motivation, Master Guides? Of course. Like me, I want to experience this, 'di ba? Lahat tayo. Walang hindi may gusto nitong anim na to na motivation, advantages. How about the disadvantages? Can I ask someone?
Disadvantages of motivation. Despite several advantages, there are some probable drawbacks as well. Some of them are, number one, it is a relative feeling, and hence there is no way of ensuring that everyone would feel the same way. Number two, motivating employees in a company requires additional efforts, money, and time on employee-related activities. And number three, in among people is mostly a short-term feeling. Afterwards, a person becomes demotivated or even uninterested about a particular task.
So thank you so much. It has something to do with among those four. So the motivation is negative. It is on the what, ma'am? Number 4 motivation, right? Because you are not happy, then you will not happy to your work, then you will be demotivated na. Mawawala na yung motivation kasi you are not interested of what you're doing. Kasi hindi ito naging personal choice mo. And you are not motivated intrinsically. And thank you so much, ma'am, for reading. Our secret motives decide destiny. Our acts, our words, even our secret motives all have their weights in deciding our destiny for weal or woe. Though we may forgotten by us, they will bear their testimony to justify or to condemn. According to the Great Controversy 489, 487, 1911. Okay, so then we know that God estimates men by purity and motive, not by their wealth, their education, or their position. Does God estimate men? He estimates them in their purity and motive and their beauty of character. He looks to see how much of his spirit they possess and how much of his likeness their like reveals. To be great in God's kingdom is to be a little child in humility, in simplicity of faith, and in purity of love. The Ministry of Healing, 477, 478, 1905. Okay, I have some assignment here for you, Master Guides. I have 7 questions, and the first one is, being one of the volunteer of the Pathfinder Leadership Training, how do you find your work condition? The second is, how can you explain the I feel good attitude with peers, subordinates, and superiors? The third is, within the framework of the servant leadership, how do you find yourself with regards to status and rank? Number 4, how you experience being remunerated on the company you're working at. How do you find yourself on this state? Number 5, explain your personal growth using the following: basic needs, psychological need, and self-fulfillment needs. Number 6 is, what is the significance of motivation in your personal growth based on the theory of motivation? And lastly, lesson you learn about motivation. How are you going to apply it on your spiritual, mental, social, and physical life? And now I want to ask someone to answer the question, please. Can you call someone who will be the one to answer my question? Sir Nilo?
Master Guide El Sabio.
Hello po, sir.
Okay, Ma'am Glenda.
Yes, sir. Wait lang. I'm looking
Okay.
for the question first.
Ah.
So, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay. How do you find the topic this afternoon?
Very interesting, ma'am.
In what
About
ways,
motivation.
In what way, sir? Why is it interesting?
Because you learn more. Marami ka pa pong natututunan sa mga bagay na hindi mo pa nalalaman.
Like what, sir? Give at
Katulad
least
ng,
one.
Ah.
Give at least one that you've learned.
belongingness and love of needs, ma'am.
Okay. So how can you relate on the belongingness?
Intimate relationship and with friends na katulad ng give advice, like tawag doon, you share your faith. Yan po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, because your need is belongingness and love and belongingness. I think you are looking for someone else. Na sometimes when during your childhood, your parents is not so sweet, something like that. Meron
Because,
kasi
ma'am,
mga experience. Have you
because my
ever
parents leave me when I was 7 years old. Yes. Tama po, ma'am.
Yes,
That's the
because
reason.
when you are yes, that's the reason why you are looking for love and belongingness, and it's the theory that that can tell us that we are lacking of these things during our childhood. That's why when we grow up, we are not yet fulfilled on this stage. That's why we are looking for it right now on our stage. So thank you so much, sir, for answering that
Welcome,
question.
ma'am.
And the next one is, who will be the next one?
I think Master Guide Lemert.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, sir. How
Yes,
are you,
ma'am.
sir? How
Fine,
are you,
ma'am.
sir?
Okay lang po.
Do you enjoy the topic this afternoon?
Yes, ma'am. Marami kasi ma'am, medyo mga natutunan
Okay.
mga bagay-bagay ba.
Okay. What did you learn today, sir?
Nalaman natin na yung palang sa motivation, hindi lang pala yung sa inner natin nakukuha. Meron din pala sa na-differentiate natin yung motivation na yung nag-motivate sa sarili mo or yung merong nag-motivate dun sa labas, yung parang inner saka sa out. Doon natin na-identify na meron palang ganong klase.
Okay. So how are you being motivated, sir? As a father. May anak na po ba kayo? Sorry, sir. Oh,
Tatlo.
wala pang anak.
Yes, ma'am. Tatlo.
Okay. How are you being motivated as a father? Okay, i-ano na natin sa practical side ng buhay natin. Okay.
Minsan kasi ma'am sa pagdala ng bata, sa aking mga anak, minsan kasi pag may pinapagawa akong bagay, lalo na ngayon na yung anak ko ay nagmo-module, minsan lagi kaming nagre-retoke kasi lagi mo pang kailangan tapusin mo yan kasi kailangan mo matapos, meron ka mang reward sa akin. Pag hindi mo na yan, may punishment ako sa iyo, parang ganun.
Okay. So you see yourself on this motivation, sir, right? Oh, nakikita mo yung sarili mo.
Meron pala kasi pag Oo.
Di ba? Okay.
Pag
So
nakapagawa ka sa bata, kailangan meron siyang option na matatanggap niya. Kasi pag hindi, parang wala siyang ganang gumagawa ng mga bagay-bagay.
Okay. Did you ask your children how they feel when you do that?
Nope.
Hindi.
Kasi mami, hindi pa ma'am.
Hindi mo sila tinatanong, ano bang feeling nyo, anak, kung napapagalitan ko kayo during the time na sinasabihan ko kayo? Are you talking to them directly? Kasi kailangan mo rin malaman yung feeling nila when you motivate them.
None.
Minsan, mama, minsan pa kasi pag sinasabi ko, bakit ayaw mong gawin yan? Bakit ayaw mong gawin yan? Para naman sa ikakabubuti mo yan. Kaya minsan hindi. Kaya minsan napapagalitan ka kasi yung utos ni Papa, hindi mo na ginagawa. Tapos sabihin mo na lagi, mamaya na, napagod ako. Parang ganun.
Okay. Do you think it's healthy for them?
Minsan,
Na ang narinig nila ikaw lang, sir?
parang napapansin ko
Nasasabihin
sa sarili,
nila,
ma'am, pag ganyan,
Opo.
parang authoritarian ang nangyari kasi parang natatakot yung bata pag lagi mo
Yes.
sinasabihan
Yes.
na, papaluin kita pag hindi mo ginagawa yan. Parang ganun.
Yes. They just following you
Parang
because,
walang,
because they are
love.
afraid. Right? Sila ay natatakot.
Oo, parang ginagawa lang nila kasi.
Yes, true. Kasi yung pag natatakot natin, you know, sir, I have a realization when I took the psychology, master in psychology in AUP. I learned a lot na there's several things that I did before na it's not necessary na ganun pala yung gagawin ko. So I realized na I need to talk to my children properly because they need a respect also. On our, sa ating pagmo-motivate sa anak natin, I can say na practical aspect of life is very important, especially on training our children nowadays, right? It's really hard. Kung hindi natin ma-motivate ng mabuti yung mga anak natin, na talagang ma-guide natin properly sila in a good direction, na hindi sila nagagalit sa atin, wala silang yung anger na hindi natin alam na meron pala silang ganong nararamdaman. But they are not talking to us directly. So, sir, because you have experienced that, I think the motivation you are applying, you need to also listen to your children. Ano ba yung gusto nila? So, ano ba yung kailangan nila para ma-motivate silang mag-aral, na hindi mo sila ipapunish? So, you need to learn on how to, kasi may mga writing si Ellen G. White, di ba, wag daw nating sa Bible din, wag nating dalhin ng ating mga anak sa pagkagalit, parang something like that. I don't know the exact text in the Bible. But we need to be friend with them. Ayan, si sir, nagka-counseling na ako dito, sir. Sorry naman. Sir, kasi we all have children, right? So tayo, may mga anak tayo, but our children nowadays is really hard to be motivated, like what I have said. My children are grown up already. My eldest son is 28, second is 27, and the youngest is 24. 27 and 24. So, I think they are grown up already. So, ano ba yung mga tinuro ko during the time na sila maliliit pa? So, kailangan ba magkaroon sila ng galit para hindi sila maging open sa akin? So, ano bang mga motivation ang in-input ko sa kanila? So, it's really important. That's why we are discussing this topic. We need to be guided. And according to the writings of Ellen G. White, it's really our duty as the parents, right? And now we are learning a lot, being a master guide. So we need to apply it on our daily life, right? So, sir, saludo ako sa iyo, sir, kasi gusto mong maging mapabuti din ang iyong mga anak sa kanilang pag-aaral at makamit din nila yung goal nila sa buhay nila. But what I can say today is you need to be guided also on how you are going to motivate your children as well. Meron din kami mga flaws before on how we communicate with our children. It's really important, sir. So God bless you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you po.
God bless you, sir. Okay, thank you. And the last one?
Sino ba ritong? Si Master Guide Eleonora.
Okay. Let's listen to Master Guide Eleonora.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how are you, ma'am?
Mabuti po. Okay
So
naman.
how do you find the topic po? Na-enlighten tsaka mas na-broaden yung aking knowledge about motivation. Kasi akala ko noon, kasi doon lumabas sa aking temperament
no, yung sa assignment kay Ma'am Jade. Isa dun sa strength ko is motivating other people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I thought na yung nakakapag-influence lang ako, no? Nakapagbigay na advice to other people. Learning from sa topic natin ay meron palang iba't ibang klaseng motivation, no? And I've learned na sa akin, on my sa sarili ko, I can be in intrinsic at saka yung intrinsic sa motivation. So
Okay.
doon pa mas na ko na meron din tayong positive na positive na in motivating people at meron din tayong negative way, no, na yes, so ganun pala yon. So I've learned na being a Christian and a master guide, dapat pala lagi ang aking way of motivating other people is based on the Word of God at sa mga sulat ni Ellen G. White. So doon para mas lalo akong magko-concentrate. I need that para mas lalo rin mag-grow ako sa sarili ko, motivating myself more to work sa gawain ng iglesia o sa field ng pathfinding.
Okay, amen. And how do you find yourself in relation with your brethren inside the church?
Well, sa aking experience, kasi lumaki po ako sa church, no? So, kilala ako sa loob ng iglesia, yung family namin. So, doon pa lang, pag sinabi mo yung Castellano, and then kilala nila yung father ko as a leader of the church, doon pa lang, pag nagsalita ako, ang laging ng mga brethren sa akin na nakaka-influence ako. No, not only sa young people, but mostly sa adult. No, naging AY leader ako, naging Pathfinder director ako, naging women's ministry ako, now ACS. So yung sa sarili ko, I can say naman na I am a good influencer sa mga kasama ko sa iglesia. Kasi yun ang kasi kung may makikita silang hindi maganda sa akin, I cannot be a great motivator or influencer to them. So laging bago ako magsalita, bago ako gumawa, lagi kong iniisip, ito ba ay magbibigay benepisyo sa aking brethren? Ito ba ay magiging kalugod-lugod sa panahon? That's number one. Maging okay ba yon sa insight ng Panginoon? And ito ba ay magbibigay din ng kabutihan para sa sarili ko? Yun yung lagi ko pong iniisip in motivating other people.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I think
Thank
you
you.
are a good motivator inside the church. And I believe that every brethren in your place knows you very well because there is what we call yung generation. Yung generation niyo po ay merong magandang iniwan na pinakita sa mga members of the church. That's why they respect you. Okay, and that's good. So I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you din po.
Okay, thank you so much. And now we're going to resume already. Sir Master Guide Renila Marasikan, I will give you the time. And please answer the question and submit it to Ma'am Melly Bagtas. Okay, I'm requesting you to answer it wholeheartedly. And this 6-7 question is very significant for us, all of us. Okay, being a master guide. Okay, God bless everyone and happy day.
Motivation.
Thank
Okay.
you, ma'am.
So I hope na-motivate kayo, no? Alam nyo, doon sa pinag-uusapan regarding the extrinsic and intrinsic, iniisip ko kung anong pinakamagandang word yan eh. Parang sumikat yan eh. Kilala nyo ba yung lugaw? Yung salitang lugaw?
Yes.
Kasi yung extrinsic kasi
Essential?
is not essential or essential. So kasi yun yung iniisip ko. So ang pagiging isang magaling na leader sa iglesia, no, regarding sa ating ministry sa pathfinding, how to motivate your pathfinders. Actually nung camping natin dito sa Klaa, iyan ay isa sa pinaka naging focus ng topic ko. Napakaraming pathfinders pero hindi na mo-motivate ng mga leaders. Kasi more than nandoon sila sa sinasabi kanina ni Sir Lemert na authoritarian ka or dictatorial ka. Kaya sabi ko, essential pa ba na maging isang effective motivator ka kung sa sarili mo hindi mo naman nakikita yung ginagawa mo. So yan yung parang pinaka-bottom line ko diyan. Is it essential or not essential? Lugaw-lugaw lang. Na? So napakaganda ng topic ni Ma'am Glenda. I hope marami kayo natutunan, ano? At kailangan nyo exercise yan, not only to experience, kailangan nyo ma-exercise talaga yan within your family. Siyempre, nasa iglesia tayo, sa ating children ministry, dapat makita pa lang ng mga kabataan yung pagiging isang motivator natin para paglago nila ay dala-dala rin nila yung pagiging ano natin, mentor tayo nila, kumbaga sa mentoring. Okay, now